No.
Sorry.
I'm not good at this.
Too slow.
I started last time.
Give it 1, 2, 3, go. No, sorry.
Hello, ladies. How is everybody?
We're doing fabulous. How about you?
There you go. I'll let Angela off the hook, even though we got you.
I know you got me. I'm not good with this whole introduction thing. I don't know why.
We just say hey. Hey, everybody.
Yes. Hey, thanks for joining.
Today we thought we'd talk about your fickle, finicky machines who only like certain things. It's not true. But we're going to talk about that today.
Both domestic and long arm and everything.
Absolutely. Because it's long arm or domestic, it doesn't matter. It's the same mechanisms, the same, everything's got tension assemblies, everything's got a hook area, whether it sits on the top or is underneath. So it's the same kind of things that span both domestic and industrial too, I would think. Industrial sit-down machines as well as long arms. Yeah.
L bobbins, M bobbins, 15 bobbins. It's all got the same. Yeah.
Yep. So, Angela, what's the one thing you hear people say the most? I think we're all going to have the same thing, but we'll start with you. What do you hear?
Number one thing that the three of us hear the most is my long arm doesn't like this thread, or my domestic machine doesn't like this thread.
Yes.
And in my world, unless it pays for me, it doesn't get to choose what thread it likes and what it doesn't like. So I don't subscribe to the fact that my long arms like a certain type of thread or my sewing machine, right? They're going to use what I put on them. And I learned how to balance my tension and to change things to let that happen. So I use whatever thread I want to, when I want to use it, and I will adjust the machine so that it uses it correctly. The key to this is you need to not be afraid to touch your tension dial, right? You're going to change your bobbin tension. You're going to change your top tension. I've done the very bad thing about changing my bobbin tension in my domestic machine. And no, I wasn't struck by lightning, guys.
Blasphemy.
Right. You're still alive.
I know. Like, I've actually turned the screw. And I sew with Janome machine. So it has a shuttle, like a little thing that the bobbin sits in, as opposed to a bobbin case. I just popped it out and said, I think the bobbin needs to be looser, and put it right back in there and tried it again. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? If I mess something up, I buy a new little, the shuttles. You can change those out just like you do a bobbin case.
Right.
So yeah, don't be afraid to use a screwdriver. No,
do you have a top load Janome?
Yeah, it's a top load. Yeah. So I have 4. So the one that I use the most is a 1500 or 15,000. Sorry. So it's a big embroidery machine, but
fancy.
Yeah, not afraid to change my tension on it. Now, I don't play with the one for the embroidery. Okay, I'm not quite that brave, but I do play. I play with the one, and I actually bought a spare one, guys, so that if I felt like I messed something up, I would have a spare.
We suggest that, and that's the other thing. Some domestic machines, unlike our long arms, some domestic machines have some of those shuttles that are different for different. They have that blue dot, red dot, yellow dot. They have different dots on them for different things. So that's what,
So this is when I scared Kathy a little bit. I sewed through my first shuttle for my 15,000. Like, I put embedded a titanium needle into it.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
But I used to work at a quilt shop, and they were a Janome dealer. So, I mean, they used to get in machines all the time because they had a repair guy too. So, saw some pretty freaky stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty freaky stuff.
So, yeah, that kind of freaked me out.
A whole other podcast. What have you found in a machine?
Well, here's the thing, and this is the scary thing.
I have some photos.
Yeah. That Janome I bought cost as much as a long arm, right? So, and this is how I justify everything. I'm like, ooh, do I want that? That costs as much. I could buy a long arm for that, because long arming is my thing, right? So I put everything in terms of long arms.
Yes.
Ooh, a car is 4 long arms,
Nowadays,
yeah. So I could get 4 more long arms, or I could buy a new car, probably buying a new car, but we're not going to go there. So yeah. But yeah, so when I bought that machine, I don't even think I'd had it for a week, and I took the bobbin case out on it.
See, titanium needles are like,
I don't mess around with titanium needles ever.
I do use titanium needles in my, my back, in my other Genomes,
right.
but I do not use them in my 15,000 anymore. Yeah. So, and it could have been something that I'm sure it was something that I did. I didn't know how to use the machine at that point. Right. But in the end, that's what happened. It's still sitting on a windowsill down in my studio. Someday I'll show it to you guys.
But it survived at the end of the day.
The machine survived. The shuttle did not. The shuttle can't.
No, but the machine survived.
Right.
So
yeah, if you're buying quality equipment,
right,
and something happens, it's going to be able to be fixed. So either my sewing machines, I mean, I have other sewing machines too, because I have a couple antique singers. Things happen. You just have to know somebody who can fix it for you, right? So I can take it to my local Genome dealer, my Genomes, right? Or I can take my singers to somebody who can fix those, and it's just going to get fixed.
I mean, very humbling and maybe make you mad a little bit, but it's all still fixable.
Yeah, so I did have to call a friend and say, "You're not gonna believe what I just did to my brand new machine I bought from you." It's like, at which point she said, "Did the needle come? Is it still sticking out through the top? Like, what did you actually do?" I had gotten the needle out. It was really rough because the needle was embedded into the shuttle. So yeah. Right. So, and that says something about using a needle that is too strong.
Yes.
Right. And that is why you can have problems with some long arms with titanium needles as well. They break in a different place. They're longer when they break because of how they're dipped. So you have a bigger shaft coming down, which is how I hurt my, I've done it to my long arm and I've done it to a domestic machine. You would think that I would learn. It takes me 3 or 4 times to learn something, guys.
So you're normal, is what you're saying. Okay.
I would much prefer. I know how they're marketed. There's probably a debate. I don't know. But with how much our machines cost, I would much rather have the needle break than have the needle ruin my hook assembly.
Yes.
Or ruin a customer quilt. So there are some pretty well-known educators out there that say, don't change your needle unless it's, breaks or it pops, and I'm like, you're quilting on somebody else's quilt. If you're a professional quilter, that's not okay with me. And I don't want, if I'm doing embroidery work or something at the house, I may have bought one item to embroider. Like, I'm going to embroider on this purse. I don't necessarily want to go out and buy the purse again either.
Right.
So even if it's for me or if it's for my niece, right?
Just change the needles.
Change the needles. They're cheap.
Change them.
What is a 10-pack of needle? $4.95 for long arms?
10 needles are cheaper than almost what used to be Starbucks. They're like half the price now of what Starbucks is. If you get so think about it that way.
Yeah, I don't know why we think needles are so expensive. They're really not. Change the needles and just, you're going to be happier if you're using a sharp needle.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
If anything, I changed mine too much. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't like that one. I'm going to go do another one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We change a lot.
Yeah.
But probably in the middle. I don't leave them very long. I change them very regularly, but I don't, if they're a regular size quilt, a lap quilt or a single bed quilt, it's going to do, that needle's going to do a couple of them.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't change it every single time.
If I'm quilting for myself, I don't change every single time. So if I'm doing like even 3 queen size quilts that are mine, I might not change that needle. If I'm doing a customer quilt though, I change the needle. And
I'm very different with customer stuff than I am with my own.
Yeah.
Much more careful.
And then in the nanosecond that it starts having any kind of issues, I'm changing.
It's gone. Oh yeah.
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 For sure.
I
Because
would-
that's,
Yeah.
let me see it, a 50-cent needle,
Yeah.
3 hours of taking out a 50
I call it
cent
the long
needle.
arm lean. I do this lean that looks down the side of my long arm to make sure that it's threaded right correctly, because the thread's all on the left side, or on its left, my right, right? So I kind of lean over, make sure it's threaded right. And if it is, then the needle gets changed. And they laugh at me because they're like, oh, she's doing the long arm lean.
Yeah. You mean if you have a break? Like
Yeah,
a
if
thread
I'm
break?
having problems with thread, or if something's, if it's, I have a tension issue even, I'll look down the side of the machine and make sure everything is threaded correctly, nothing's catching on anything, right? Because, you know, and then if it still happens, then the needle goes,
Mhm.
you know.
I had that here this morning with a customer. She did her first quilt and then took it off and then did her second quilt. And not too far into the second quilt, it was batik.
Oh, yeah.
And she didn't get too far into it. And the threads shredded on her. And she said, oh, because of all the time she's ever been here, she's never had one thread break. And she said, oh, this is really weird. I didn't even think about it. I said, okay.
Well,
Took the
and
needle out, put a new needle in. She finished the rest of the quilt. So while the needle was fine for the first one, I checked, you know, threading's all good, whatever. And once I changed the needle, it just solved the problem.
well,
So,
and
and it wasn't an
see,
old needle, but
that's another thing that people say that their machine doesn't like is batiks. Like, I don't like batiks. I don't like sewing on my machine. And then they'll go, my machine doesn't like batiks. It likes quilting cotton.
People will say they love or hate batiks. I think it's a love or hate relationship with
Well,
batiks.
I quilt with a lot of batiks. Tracy does as well. I think you do too. I mean, I think
I
you quilt
love
with everything.
batiks.
You and I love batiks, I know for sure. And I always look at
I
them.
want to love them because I want my customers to love them. They're just not going out my door fast enough.
They are so beautiful though. And there's so many colors in, and they're all just blendy and they mush together, and it doesn't matter what you're looking at. It's got 100 colors in it, or it feels like it's got 100 colors in it. And they just always just work.
They got the
They have
depth.
a life of their own.
Yeah.
I love batik.
If you're not sewing with batiks, you need to, you know, feel comfortable and do this for us.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
order batiks from Kathy.
Try the batiks.
Try
Yes,
Try
try.
the batiks.
Yes.
Yeah, they're lovely.
So, I mean, yeah, but that's another thing that we hear is that my machine doesn't like it. And that always amazes me. A couple of things amaze me. Somebody will go, well, my machine quilt on Minky or Cuddle. Sorry.
Minky, Cuddle, both.
Minky Cuddle. Sorry, Shannon. I'm like, yeah, your machine will literally go through wood if you ask it to, like thin balsa
wood.
balsa wood, right?
Yep.
Domestic machines and long arms can actually perforate that. So yeah, Cuddle's not going to be a problem.
Nope.
You know, leather, you need a special needle for the leather because the leather will rip. Also not a problem, right? So,
and on some products, it's more the thickness than the product itself. You get too thick, they can't go in between the hopping foot and the needle plate is more the issue.
Well, you can raise your.
Yeah, you could a little bit, but if you have just a little bit of, I think of t-shirt quilts. T-shirt quilts. When you get double-sided back t-shirt quilts, top t-shirt quilts, both with pockets at the same junction, it's amazing. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, I'm thinking I don't want to cuddle up with that either, though.
Right. Right.
I don't want to cuddle up with it. The whole idea with the t-shirt quilt is you're using something that's already soft and cuddly, right? You put t-shirts on both sides and it's no longer soft and cuddly.
No, that's a lot.
That's a lot of t-shirt. So.
And would be like ridiculously heavy as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's not too thick, the machine goes through both of those layers phenomenally. So
I think I'd rather just have two t-shirt quilts. Like with two separate backing, like two quilts rather than two quilts sandwiched together and have it reversible. But that's just me.
Right. I mean, and everybody do their own. That's good. It's all good.
Like, you do their own thing. Yeah. Doing your own thing, it's great.
Oh, for sure. I'm just thinking about how heavy a t-shirt quilt would be if it was 2-in-1.
Yeah.
Right.
It'd be a lot.
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
What about, I hear on cotton versus poly for piecing.
I say do what you want to do.
Cotton versus a thread, you mean?
Yes.
I've pieced, well, I don't piece anymore, but I pieced with polyester thread forever. So fine, actually. Or a micro quilter is also a good one. Yep.
I like Orifel Mako 50.
There you
Which
go.
is cotton.
Mhm.
But I have been known to pick up any thin thread. I like thin thread.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It makes the seams less bulky.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great segue with that's Wonderful has on their webpage a video or some pictures of a flying geese block. And they pieced it cotton on top, cotton on the bottom, 40 weight. And then they did the 40 weight cotton on top with their Deco Bob, 80 weight on the bobbin. And it was flatter. And then they did the 80 weight, and how flat that flying geese is compared to the first one was amazing.
Mhm.
So people will come in and I'll say, most people like to piece with cotton, but more of my people are going to polyester, and I don't care which either one you do.
So I would think that the only thing you would need to be aware of if you're, when I do piece with poly, especially with polys like any poly that is shiny, is that it's shiny because it's been melted.
Yeah.
So I would want to make sure that I didn't use a really hot iron.
Right.
Like,
and I would probably back tack a lot more because it's slippery.
Because it's slippery. Exactly.
Yeah. I don't think I would personally piece with a shiny polyester thread. Like I was piecing with so fine,
which is not,
which looks and feels like cotton, but it's got no lint.
Right.
Right. And it's a 50 weight.
50 weight, yeah.
So, and I used to like that, like the results.
Yeah, right. It takes a lot of heat to melt poly, but it obviously is possible to melt poly.
Yeah. There are some people who love a hot iron. I'm just saying, wow, it's I hear complaints all the time. That iron's just not hot enough. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
How hot does it need to be?
I don't know, but apparently
I just want to cook a steak, for heaven's sakes. You're just pressing seams.
Use some starch alternative and go. I don't use, I'm from the South. We don't use starch down here.
Oh yeah, because of bugs.
Silverfish, right?
Yep.
So yeah. So use a starch alternative. Like Best Press Flatten. There's a couple different brands out there.
Right.
I like Flatter. Is it Flatter? Is that what it's called?
Flatter, yeah.
Flatten.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Use that.
So another one that's really good for speaking on this is called Terrarial Magic. So what it is a stabilizer. So the more you spray onto your fabric and press it, it becomes almost like paper, but you can water it down by a lot. And so a big bottle is going to last you, it's going to be almost 4 bottles because you put a little bit in your spray bottle of Terrarial Magic and the rest water. But what happens is when you, it gets softer because it reacts to the heat and the moisture in your hand, and it gets softer if you play with it too much in between.
So I use that when I'm using my cutting machine.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's pretty good though for people who need just that extra stability when they're piecing.
I've never heard of it.
Or if you're using material that really stretches a lot on the bias, it can help a lot.
Right. Yes, for sure. Yes.
And that's why I use it in my cutting machine, because when I'm cutting my fabric and it's on the bias, you can have a problem. I'm using it's kind of like a Cricut or a Silhouette. It was by Janome. They don't make it anymore. But yeah.
I have that.
The Janome Edge?
No. Artistic?
Yeah. There's another
an Artistic Edge.
Yeah.
It was by Janome.
I have one. I tried to use it once 8 years ago.
You crack me up, Tracy.
It's up on top of the filing cabinet in the corner.
I have to admit, I have not used mine as much as I thought I would. I actually had an old, like the original Brother Scanning cut before this. And my sister's a teacher. So she wanted something to cut stuff for her class. And I'm like, here, have the scan and cut. Because I was like, I'm not going to use this. And then I went out and bought the Janome. Already artistic. Yeah.
I have crickets now. They work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't cut fabric with them though.
Yeah.
I make
I've cut everything with mine.
Foolish, silly things like that.
So
we just have a big laser cutter.
Show off.
You win.
Speaking of things, sorry, multiple long arms.
But the laser cutter, it's kind of like, because I had somebody call, how many layers of fabric? Because we're still very, sorry, that's my turn. We're still very new on working with it, because it's fire, it's a laser, it gets hot, and if white fabric, you're going to see a brown mark. And then somebody's like, well, can you cut 20 layers of fabric? And I know you can. Everybody out there, don't judge me. But Jake and I are just a little like, we're going to try with 1 or 2 layers, and then we might move on to 3, because we're just a little concerned about the laser and fire and fabric. And then when I said that to somebody, they're like, oh, that makes sense.
I had white fabric laser cut for a row by row experience thing years ago. And luckily I was doing them in the shape of a dogwood, which are kind of brown on the edges. And they came back brown on the edges. And the girl was like, I couldn't find a way to not do it. And I was like, that's great. It looks like a dogwood.
That's good.
And she was like, okay, then we're done. Okay.
That's customer service for you. She's already browned your edges.
Yeah, around my edges, I don't have to do it now. I was like, you did great for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It worked. And every single one of those was sold in the end. I was amazed.
But the cool thing compared to a cutter is that laser cutter seals the end a little bit, so it won't fray. So if you want fraying, you don't want laser cut. If you want fraying, you know what I mean? So it's just the opposite to think of.
True. See, my friends get these really cool toys, and then I get to live through them anymore. But all these toys that I've been looking at and haven't bought, my friends buy.
Yeah.
So
my whole thing was get the laser cutter here, and I'll be able to get my daughter here at the store. So one of our action items of driving back last night from our conference was, how are we going to make that laser cutter work and be an employee instead of collecting dust? So we are. It's all good. Things take time. Can't do everything all at one time.
Why not?
I know.
I look around here and I think, man, I sure do overestimate what I can accomplish in a day by myself. It's like all these things are staring at me saying, when is my turn? When's my turn? As I walk by.
Right. All the little voices talking to you. Wah, 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 wah.
I'm cleaning out my home studio this week for a couple of reasons, but we're going to take everything out of it. So I'm going to cull when I'm doing it. I'm going to be staying down there after my surgery because I won't be able to go up and down stairs for a while. So we're putting a bed in there temporarily so I can be in there. When that comes out, flooring's coming out, new flooring's going down, built-in cabinets are going in.
Oh, wow. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a big project. I should do a really embarrassing before picture. It's embarrassing. I haven't really been down there for any substantial amount of time in the last 3 years. I mean, I did a couple projects during COVID, and then before that, even 3 years before that, it's been a storage room, basically.
Yeah, no door. We all have those.
So everybody just walks in and drops 4 cases of old wooden Fisher Price toys sitting on the floor right now.
There you go.
There's a walker down there. I don't use a walker. My husband doesn't use.
You don't play with Fisher Price toys either, to my knowledge.
Toys. It's stuff that my mother-in-law has kept for years. Yeah. So we're slowly getting stuff out, like wooden Fisher Price toys. There is a market for it, but you don't typically let kids play with those anymore. So, yeah.
They're probably painted with lead paint.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. Well, we don't know.
When we don't know, it goes away.
It's kind of amazing that we all made it through this because,
Right.
I know, right?
Pretty sure.
I played with clackers. Did you guys have clackers?
Yes.
I should know what that is. Oh, yeah.
That they were on a string, and they were like 2 balls. Mine were red,
Yeah.
and and then you do tricks with them. And I'm telling you, the bruises
Yes.
when they get your finger caught in them, or you get going too much, and it would hit you in the side of the face. It was good times.
Lawn darts. Lawn darts.
Good times.
The bruises were great. The pain was awesome.
They were fun.
Right.
We didn't know any better. We didn't have video games. This is what we had.
Right. Like, yes, it is the whole safety thing.
Angela's picturing me getting hit in the face with a clacker. My eye.
My
eye.
Oh, shake it off.
I can also see myself hitting myself in the face with a clacker. And I wouldn't be going fast. I just would hit myself in the face with it, not realizing what I was doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, they were fun, though.
We all
played that game with the elastics, too. Remember the elastics? It was an elastics game where 2 people would hold the edges, and there was certain ways to get over it. What was that called?
Oh, you mean the one that you would like step into it?
Yes.
And
you had to there were different movements.
Yeah. And like grabbing them and twisting them and coming back out.
Yeah. What was that called? And we just used elastics and like made them as long as they were. And then you just hope that somebody holding the elastic didn't let go while you were straddling it, because that never ended well.
And again, we're at the point of the video where
we have lost all
ding, 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 ding. We have now deviated.
Okay.
Yeah. At that point, it wasn't ow, my eye. It was ow, but it wasn't my eye.
It was. Look at Kathy's like, I'm embarrassed. She went there.
No, I'm mad that I don't have a ding, 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 ding. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're at that point in the video.
It has to happen at least once.
My brain's remembering all the things that we used to play when we were little that they probably, like, kids nowadays would think.
Well, even like the Fisher-Price garage that went up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Like
what?
you get your finger pinched in that thing.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a garage that you would crank and it would go up and down. The whole car would go up and down inside the little garage.
Yes.
Your finger stuck in that little thing.
Yep. My brother had one of those, and my oldest son had one of those too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still make it. It just doesn't work the same way now.
No, their stuff's probably a lot like safer.
If you can even get it out of the
Good
box.
choice.
Not as fun. Not as fun.
No.
Half the fun was getting hurt. No,
Well, when my kids were little, it was a good day if at the end of the day, because I used to bath them every night, if the bath water was filthy, we had a great day.
Right. Yes.
I liked it when my kids were dirty. It was because we spent all day outside and they had a great time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm all for, and you get a bruise. You were outside playing. You don't get Never mind. I was about to get really opinionated, but you don't get bruised sitting in front of a TV screen,
right,
playing a video game.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, that's true.
It is, yeah. Unless you're playing with a little thing and whacking your face.
You got
your peppers.
Oh, the clackers. Sorry.
Sorry.
We went out. Yeah. So
should we maybe talk about what machines do and don't like?
Well, really, Angela covered it though, because that's the one thing that I hear most as well, is that my machine doesn't like that thread.
Yes, for sure. Oh, here's a good one. Oh, sorry, Tracy.
Go ahead.
We had a customer come in and goes, I think I need a new machine because when I'm free motioning, this is what's happening on the back. And Jake goes, I just think it's your tension. And he helps her with her tension. And she came back with 2 beautiful quilts. And she's like, look what I did with, he didn't have to sell me a machine. He just made my tension work. And look, it's amazing. She was so happy.
Oh
and
my
so
God.
Yeah.
Anyone who would sell somebody a machine
right
to make a sale when all it needed was a tension adjustment, I'm sorry, that's not a nice person.
there's a special place in a special, yeah.
Yes. Yes,
hot
yes,
plate for them.
for
There's
sure.
your hot place for
I'm so glad. That's a nice story.
And she came back and thanked Jake. It was pretty cute. Like, you know, exactly. And that's what it's about. We just need to talk tension. It's amazing. But you also don't test tension on your quilt. It's off of your quilt. So if you start with a new thread, you're not going to go right. Like you have said in the past, Tracy, you're not going to go right onto that customer quilt. You're going to maybe play with it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I like the thing down the side. I've got those white clamps, and you can put like just a skinny sandwich down the side. If you don't want to actually work, we always ask for longer and wider. I mean, we need longer and wider because that's just what we need. We got to attach it to the leaders, and we need stuff on the extra. But if you're not wanting to play or work around on the outside of the quilt out in the batting, just I'll have to do a thing, but stick a sandwich over there and just muck around over there.
Right.
But know what you're getting into before but don't be afraid to change your threads. You'll need to change your needle size maybe, or maybe not. You'll need to maybe change your thread path, or maybe not. And you may need to either loosen or tighten top and or bottom tension.
Or yeah, right.
But you can work with all of it. Anything. It's always possible. It just depends on, and I find that people who go for a really long time, they get their machine and they get a thread, perhaps the thread that came with the machine, and they try it. They love it. Looks great. Everything's awesome. And they never try anything else for a long time. And then they go to something completely different. They've been working with a 40 weight polyester all this time, and then they pop in an 80 or 100 weight because they want to do some filler stuff and they need a really lightweight thread. Well, your 4.0 needle's not going to work for that. It needs to be smaller, and you're going to have to back off your tension, and you may need to change. But as soon as they start to use it and it starts to break, there's like, no, the machine doesn't like that. I find when people are newer, and it does not matter what brand of machine you're talking about, they're all the same in this way. For those people who are newer, the faster you start playing with different weights and types of threads, your road will be much easier because everything's new at that point.
Right.
So don't get all comfortable and snuggly with your 40 weight polyester thread that everybody likes, because there's a whole world of thread out there that you're going to miss out on if you're not willing to try these things.
Right.
So do it when you're new. It's like when I used to teach piecing classes at the quilt shop. I'm left-handed. I'm actually ambidextrous, but I hold a fork and a pen with my left hand, and I do lots of stuff right-handed. So I used to teach the brand new beginners, the piecing classes. That's what I had. So right out of the gate, I would teach people how to cut with a rotary cutter with their left and right hand. Like use the rotary cutter in both hands.
I do.
And a couple of the other people that I worked with were like, why? I said, well, first of all, I'm left-handed, so I've always had to adapt anyways. But if somebody's learning to use a rotary cutter and a ruler, you already feel weird and awkward. So why not learn with both hands? If you get too comfortable with one hand, it makes the other hand, the non-dominant hand, feel even more uncomfortable. But if things are, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, truly.
So right from the gate, just try it all. What's the worst that's going to happen?
So we were at this conference. So we left early Sunday morning and we drove up to this conference 10 hours away. We had all day talks on Monday. And then we had a talk on Tuesday. It was about leadership. Very awesome. It's like, we're going to do an exercise. We're going to write your name, and you're going to got a minute. You have to write your name 3 times. So, and you have a minute. So ready, set. Oh, by the way, change to your other hand. Right? Which all of a sudden I looked to Jake. I'm like, yes, I miss long arming. And I am so excited now that I got my left hand. And I'm writing my name uber big. And then I even switched to cursive. And he was just like, it was just funny. I'm like, and I stand up because I get done super quick. I'm like, yes, I got to long arm at this conference. Because to me, it's a little bit of that. how you think about long arming, how I, connect the dots on going on to something, yes, my left awkward hand, but I know I have to make a C curve, and then I have to make a circle, then I have to make an S curve. You know what I mean? It was, my brain was like, I think I'm missing long arming. I think I am.
Sounds good.
But it was part of this was not a quilting convention.
No, it wasn't.
Business owners from many different walks of life who are like, missing long arm quilting. What are you talking about? Right?
I know. I stood up and even went, wow, because I thought I got done.
I am in my zone.
I can picture that.
Yeah, I can too. She did it, guys. She's not joking.
Because I have teased Jake a little bit when we're setting up for teaching free motion classes, and I'll write my name upside down and backwards. And he's like, how do you do that? And I'm like,
why can't you?
Right. Right. He was super cute. He's like, he wrote his like this big. 3 lines were like in this little square. He goes, I did pretty good. I beat the time. But it was an experiment on feeling of asking somebody to do something that they're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
And how they don't excel. So it was a perfect analogy on that. At
which point whoever was leading the class looked at Kathy like, sit down.
Yes.
That's not the assignment. Put it down.
You weren't supposed to get excited about this and actually do well. Sit your rear end back down.
I have a point to make and you're not helping.
Yeah. Well, she, in some ways, made the point that you're going to have that one person that can do it. And then you're going to have a bunch of people that don't feel comfortable doing it. So it's also meeting that expectation.
Right. Mm-hmm. And she also talked about giving your employees a test to find out what type of person there's a personality test.
Myers-Briggs?
I think it's sort of not that for sure, more of where their strengths are. So it was from Gallup. So where their strengths are. And obviously this one here thrives on competition and a challenge. So it was kind of funny. That was my funny story. Sorry. Thank you guys for indulging in me. I'm so sorry. Didn't mean to deviate.
Don't apologize. It's a good story.
It is a good story.
I can picture you jumping up.
I can picture some of the other people in the room going, sit down.
Sit down or just that kind of.
The lady in front of me high-fived me.
What?
The lady in front of me high-fived me. She goes, that was fun, wasn't it? I'm like, yes, it was.
Also a quilter, huh?
Oh, you found a kindred spirit there.
Yeah. Oh, when you get a room full of that many people, yeah, there's a lot. It was great. It was. I didn't know there were so many pet store owners in the world. I'm just going to tell you. There's a lot of pet store owners.
Oh. Yeah. Like actually selling pets or selling supplies for pets?
Supplies for pets.
Okay, supplies for pets. Yeah, we have a bunch of them here. But we don't have a lot of people who actually sell pets.
Oh, no, for sure. This is more just all of the supplies. But and of course it's needed because who wants to always go to PetSmart? Or is it Pets or Smarts, or is it Pet Mart? Pets Mart.
I think it's Pets and then Mart.
Wait
a minute. Isn't that one word?
It is one word, but if you look at their logos, they have 2 different logos. There's an emphasis on the pets and then the Mart, and there's an emphasis on Pets are Smart.
Yeah. We have that store here, but I don't go there.
That's the conversation we have around the kitchen table. Is it Pets are Smart, or is it Pets Mart?
Both.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, now we're all going to be thinking about that all night. Mm-hmm. So I go to the one that delivers my dog food to the front door for free. I'm just that's the online store. That's no lie, guys. If I walked out of my house, walked to the main street, made a right, and walked to the corner. Okay, so we're talking not even a city block. and they deliver my food for free for my dog.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty amazing.
But I do get
That's good
100
customer
pounds.
service.
Well, yeah, I get 100 pounds at a time though. So I'm not like I'm walking back with it. I can't,
No.
I can carry one bag part the way back, but I can't do two. I can't do two.
No, that's fabulous customer service.
Yeah, they do. And they deliver I mean, I ordered stuff for we call them the girls, my mom and dad's dogs, and my sister and my mom and dad live together. So the two dogs that live there, we call the girls. While I was in Houston a couple weeks ago, and they wanted dog food. So I said, okay, just go up and order the dog food. They buy it at the same place, but they were trying to figure out a time to go. I was like, it'll be here in like 2 hours. So I did that and put some treats on there, put some toys on there, and deliver it to the door, please.
Awesome.
Like, I'm spoiled.
You have big dogs too. My dogs aren't big enough to need 100-pound bag of food.
So we did buy a
peanut's only 5 pounds.
30 or 40-pound bag for the girls together, right? And the bigger of the two of them is, I want to say, 15 pounds.
Yeah.
So one is like right at 10 and the other one's 15. So your size dogs, not my size dogs, right? They're little teeny miniature schnauzers and they're cute and they have personalities that are huge, you know? So
most little dog, the smaller the dog, the bigger the
personality.
My sister and I want to get I have German Shepherds. I have big dogs. One of my dogs is 100 pounds. The other one is 50, but we want to get my girls in a room with my sister's girls, right? And see that dynamic, because we talk about my big 100-pound dog, definitely think she's alpha. And she wouldn't be with those little ones, I don't think.
Yes, right.
Like, I don't think she's got enough spunk to tell them to back off.
That's funny.
Aww.
And they move too fast for her to lay on them.
Right, right.
So, yeah, it is what it is.
Right. So Jacob and Anna moved into their house, Tracy.
Oh, good.
We were out back, and I'm out back with Liam because they're doing a walkthrough for the house, and I go with them because I was going to be gone and I wanted to see the house. And I said, I'll take care of Liam and keep him because he wanted to see his new house. Aww. And we were out in the backyard, and I'm looking at this thing through I see this rear end of something that does not look like a dog. And I'm looking and I'm like, Liam, what is that? And we walk over there, and this was a Gigantor Pig. Like, it was a big old pig. A big old pig. Like, he was
in their backyard?
And their back, and the neighbor's
like a wild boar?
No, it's not a wild boar, but it was just a big old pig. It was a pet.
Oh, somebody's pet.
But it's not like a little potbelly pig.
No.
This is like a sow. This is a big pig.
Poor little Liam. I'm like, I said, Liam, go tell your mom and dad there's a pig out here. Or go tell them what you saw. And he went inside all excited. Guess what I saw? I saw a pig. I saw a pig. I saw a pig. And they're like, what? And I said, yeah, look at this. And a pig. I'll show you the picture, but go ahead and we'll keep it.
Their next door neighbors?
It was their back neighbor.
Back neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously their HOA allows livestock?
Sure. Probably not.
That would not be allowed within the city limits of Raleigh.
No.
A pig is a farm animal.
It's livestock. It's not yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot bigger than even having chickens.
Right.
Yeah.
For eggs.
Now we can have chickens inside the city limits. But a pig wouldn't fly. Yeah.
No, well, no, why would it? Like,
it doesn't have wings. It's a little heavy. It's kind of like me. Really
pig would not fly. Ha ha.
Oh, I get it. It's a little slow, but I get it.
All right.
How about with that, we say, ladies, this has been fabulous. I can't wait till we get together again. And we will see you next time.
For sure.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Try all the thread.
Yes, all.
Our boutiques.
5 boutiques. 5 the threads. Try them all.
Oh,
do it.
Give us a thumb up. Share. Tell a friend. Right?
It's free.
Yep.
It's free.
All free.
All free.
Take
guys.
care. Bye.
Bye.